guys and gals, welcome back. Does the key of your track matter? Well, yes. Well, no. Maybe. Kinda. Sorta. Let's discuss. So, as you may not be aware, over 600 years ago, a clever Chinese mathematician by the name of, let me just phone a friend for the correct pronunciation.
Zhu Zaiyu.
He was the first to figure out how to make all of the 12 notes that we use now equal distance apart. Because before 1584, the way instruments were tuned meant you had to play them in certain keys or else they sounded horrendous. But this revelation meant that keys essentially didn't matter. However, there are some situations where certain keys might be better for modern electronic music. First, I will say if your audience is one of listening to music on phones, laptops, Bluetooth speakers, soundbars, that kind of thing, the casual music consumer, if you will, then key doesn't matter, no. What I'm talking about in this video is in relation to good bass. So that's for people on good headphones, live systems, PAs, clubs, etc. Studio people, obviously, hi-fi users, and good car systems. Now, any quick search on YouTube will tell you that good bass in dance music is quite the science. And all those tutorials will be talking in terms of frequencies. But frequencies are pitch. And in the lowest octave of your bass, the frequency jump is quite significant. And it turns out if you want good bass, the key you choose can actually help or hinder you. Here is a handy little chart off the Wikipedia. On the left is the notes, in the middle is the note name, and on the right there we have frequency in hertz. I'm sure you've come across mixing tutorials before that have mentioned something along the lines of cutting all frequencies below about 40 hertz. And there's a good reason for this. This is kind of the threshold where a lot of speaker systems start to fall off. As you can see, that's around an E. It says E1 here, but that would be E0 on your DAW. And the problem is, if you go up the octave to try and avoid that threshold to the 80 hertz region, 80 hertz is actually very bass light for a dance track. So you can end up in this awkward situation where a high D feels too light and the low D is too low for most speaker systems. So I would argue optimal bass is somewhere between the key of E and B. Now to make my point, I've been playing a sub bass line in D sharp for about the past minute. Did you hear it? Here is that bass line. Let me add back in the bass above the sub so you can hear the notes clearly. And if we mute the sub, do you hear a difference? Bet very few of you didn't. Here's the full song, by the way. It's the one from the intro. I'm going to mute the sub. Sub back in. Now this track is deliberately low because I want it to be a car track, but making this track in D sharp means most people will never hear the full bass. Whereas if I swap to a session where the track is in A, let us repeat the same experiment. Okay, so here's our track in A. You might recognize it from the delay video. Now, if my estimations are correct, a lot more of you should hear the bass fall out of this track when I mute the sublayer. Muting. Back in. Muting. Back in. Well, how about that one? Did you hear it? That was in A. Let me show you the different solo. So here's our A. How many of you can hear this? You can see there we're at about 55 hertz. D sharp. Did that disappear for a few of you? That's at 39. Just under. A again. D sharp. So that's just a distance of 6 notes. As you can see, when we get into these lower bass octaves, it's quite the frequency jump. So there we have it. My thoughts on keys in dance music. Does it matter? Yeah, kind of. Depends on your audience and destination. Let me know in the comments if you could hear the difference between the D sharp and A. Regardless, hopefully that's food for thought. Please leave a like if you liked, or a sub if you loved it. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.